darklings. So I am checking in today with a monthly favorites. I haven't done one of these in quite some time, so I have a few things to share and I'm gonna move fast. Some of this stuff you've probably already seen on my Instagram, but I'm gonna share it on here just in case. If I don't have followers that are following me in one place, they'll see it here, vice versa, you get the gist. So the first thing I'm gonna share is this piece of art. This is a print that I got from an artist who goes by their Instagram account. It's called October Oddities, and this is her Our Lady of the Recently Deceased. Isn't that fabulous? I'm coming in close so you can see the face. Oh my god, Lydia Deetz right there in all her glory. Classic, iconic religious pose, if you will. It's kind of cheeky playing off of that. And then the book here, the Recently Deceased guidebook. I mean, when I saw this, I was like, I have to have that. This has to be a print. And sure enough, she made some prints and I snagged one. I think it was only like 20 bucks, so not that expensive if you ask me, because this is just freaking stunning. And I've already got the frame that I'm gonna put her in. Here, let's see here. I already painted it black, so here pretty quick I'm gonna be hanging this baby up on the wall, so it's gonna be something about like that. Right. So in the package she included a couple of little goodies. This is like a postcard. This is one of her other prints. Ooh, blinding. There we go. Her raven head. I believe she did a white raven as well too. So I'm like, if you liking what you're seeing, then this is up for you. Next, here's her card. This is her information, October Oddities. She has a Instagram account that she goes by that name, and then I believe her Etsy account, it goes by that name as well. I will drop her information down below for you, just in case you want to get a hold of one of these, because I'm like, it's just amazing. When I saw it, I just knew. I was like, it has to be mine. Alright, on to talking about some actual witchy stuff. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about was this grounding oil right here. I made this during Mercury retrograde because I was like feeling all that was going on, you guys. You guys know what I'm talking about. And I was kind of like dabbling around with the idea, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna DIY this because I'm the queen of that, and I'm like, let's do this. And I decided to take a look at the herbs that I had on hand and what I could use to craft my own grounding oil, because I really didn't want to buy one, and I came up with this concoction. Put it in one of these cool skull bottles. Yes, and he always wears this crown of hematite crystals on there on the top, because that is a grounding stone, super grounding. And there's actually a couple of hematite crystals in there too, but I'm like, it's totally gone green on me with time, and I gotta say, I think it just totally it works. It's one of those things that I made it and I was like, holy shit, that's some good stuff right there. You know, because sometimes you make an oil and you're like, yeah. This one just came out just right. So I'm loving him. The other thing I wanted to share with, you know, on the more crafty side of things, is if you guys are into making tinctures, like I have a video on how I do it. I will link that down below naturally. And then but I was like, I have a few tinctures on hand, you know, that I use for various purposes, and usually it's just mostly an instrument of layering to be added to spell work, that kind of thing. So this one I have yet to label it, but this is the #1 tincture that I would say start with this, because it will knock your socks off. This is lavender bud. This shit is some good stuff. When I open it up, and you know, you gotta give it a minute for that alcohol-y kind of lingering thing to dissipate or whatever. When I open it up and I give it a sniff, this stuff smells as strong as an essential oil. Seriously, it smells so strong, and I was really surprised. Oh, it smells good. Ooh, that's some good lavender right there. Oh yeah. Yes, girl, yes. So if you want to get into making tinctures and you want to take a shot at it, definitely put lavender on your hit list, because this stuff is the bomb. I was really surprised and taken aback at how good it came out. And I'm like, not only have I used it in my spell work, but I've also added it to teas. You know, when I'm trying to have one of those calming teas or whatever in the afternoon after a stressful day at work or dealing with my daughter, things like that, I'm like, I will add, you know, a few drops of this to my tea, you know. And I'm like, you can take it straight shot under the tongue, bilingual, I forget the word, but it's under the tongue method. You can do that, or you can add it to your teas, etc., or just a little bit of water and take it as like a shot. But I'm like, yes, girl, go there. If you want to mess around with tinctures, try lavender. Highly recommend it. Talking about herbs, one more herb that I wanted to talk about that I'm really loving this month. I keep seeing things about people saying that white sage has become kind of scarce and we're trying to cut back on our usage of it. And I was like, you know, honestly, I was getting kind of almost like bored with it, dare I say, dare I admit it. And I had one of these guys in my cabinet of witchy items and I hadn't used it, and I'm like, why am I not using that? And I'm like, I think what kept me back was because it's kind of hard to work with. And this is a sweet grass rope braid. It's beautiful, right? I got mine at Mountain Rose Herbs. I'm like, you're just gonna have to check in with them and see if they have them in stock, because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I'm like, what I do with her is I have a tendency to break off the piece or even a chunk of it, you know, I'll just cut it right off and use a bit of yarn to kind of tie that end so that I hold the braid. But this stuff you have to be really careful with because it has a tendency to go poof up in flames just like that. So don't leave it unmonitored, and don't sit there and be like, oh, like, yeah, I'm gonna light my whole braid on fire, because it will go. Witchy wild card. So I'm coming at you with something that you would not expect to be kind of witchy. I happened to be at Lowe's one day and I was walking down the aisle. I went down in there to get a cactus or something, and I saw this and I was like, you know, I have a plan for you. And I walked over and picked it up and I was like, yes, yes girl, game on. So this is a piece of black marble tile. You know, you see all those fancy altar tiles online, and some of them are pretty small, some of them are freaking outrageously expensive. So this is my budget witchy tip for you. A black tile from freaking Lowe's, $5 or $6, give or take. The reason why I use this is for a couple of reasons, and I'm sure you guys can come up with a million reasons of your own once you get one in your hands. First of all, take a look at this surface. It's like looking into a galaxy or a black lake. Look at that. It's beautiful. So if you want something to maybe scry with and you don't have enough money to get a crystal ball right off the bat, get you one of these. All you need is this tile and a freaking candle in the middle at night. Oh, it is so beautiful because it's so reflective. It reflects the candle and everything. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. And you can sit there and just like scry it out, girl. So not only is it good for scrying and having that whole black lake of luscious magicness, it's also a good base as an altar tile. And I'm like, I know there's a lot of those ones out there that are wood, and I'm just like, if you get some wax on that, it's fucked. It's ruined. I'm like, this, you just let that wax, the candle wax, cool down and you chip it off with your fingernail. Easy peasy. It's also a good base for your crystal grids or working with the salt circle or herbs, because it's easy cleanup and it doesn't ruin your altar tile. You can use your oils and anoint and, you know, work in a sigil. Easy cleanup once again. And I'm like, I just keep a little bottle of like some alcohol with some water and like some essential oils in it to clean this as well. Just a little side bottle, and I will spray it and clean it when I want it to be all nice and shiny and reflective. So I'm like, yes, this is a good piece. This is a budget witch hack right here. And I'm like, not only does it make it easy for cleanup, it's also a good scrying tool. And I'm like, when I got mine, I went ahead and did the whole cleansing routine, and then I went ahead and did like a little consecrating type of ritual with it, because I knew that it was going to be a base for a lot of my spell work. You know, everything happens on top of this. So I'm like, yeah, this is a good find. So honorable mention goes to this, once again, the Wild Wisdom of the Faerie Oracle. I totally showed this in like my haul a video or two ago, and I'm gonna share it again because it's just that pretty. I'm like, dang, man, look at these gorgeous, gorgeous cards. I'm like, this is the back. I'm like, this deck is the one that I've been reaching for here lately. I don't know, it's just so pretty. It has such a nice energy to it, and it screams magic to me. It really does, and I'm just loving it. I'm having a hard time just putting the darn thing down because it's just so pretty. It's gorgeous. So yeah, this is the one, again, the backs look like that. So this is the one deck that I simply can't put down right now. And it's, I'll go ahead and link the haul video where I talked about it a little bit more, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about it right now. But I'll link that down below just in case you're curious. And then one of the other things that I wanted to share was this. I have a friend that went to a powwow a while back, and she got me this, and she just sent it to me. I believe these are called like a Kachina, like a little magical bag. Basically, you put crystals or herbs, you know, whatever you would like, some talismans inside. It has a little opening up here, and I'm like, yes, this is not a mass-produced item. This is one of those things that is handmade, girl. And I'm like, all of this beadwork, look at that, isn't it gorgeous? So pretty. I don't know, it's breathtaking. And I'm like, I wanted to share this because I'm fixing to hang it up on the wall, probably right over there where my chair is and my morning altar is. So I'm like, yeah, this is just, it was such a nice gift and very thoughtful. And I'm like, oh, it's so gorgeous. I can't even. What's funny is I feel like these two things they go together so perfectly, don't they? Okay, so I have another wild card to add to the witchy list, and you're gonna be like, what the hell is she talking about? As soon as I hold this up. So here we go. So yeah, it's this. You're like, what the hell is that? Well, this is a projection lamp. So basically what this one is it's the spider web one, and I got this at Michael's. Now, even though it says spider web, if you sit there and you watch the display, which is exactly what I did, because Michael's had it to where these little lamps were set up and they were flashing on a little piece of cardboard so you could see what it looked like. And I'm like, even though it says spider web, I feel when I look at it, it looks more like water. So, and I had never bought one of these, and it was one of the first Halloween purchases that I made this year. So I'm like, yes, I'm going to be doing some mega Halloween hauls, so you better subscribe if you want to catch those, otherwise you're gonna miss it. But this one, this is the first time like I said, first time I ever bought one, and I wanted to see how it worked. And it said, you know, projects up to 20 feet, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I used my 40% off coupon on it, so it was like 15 or 16 bucks, something like that, you know, not too bad at all. I took it home, and the first night that I brought it home, I plugged that baby in and lit up my entire bedroom. The ceiling, my altar, everything. It covers everything with that really pretty spider webby kind of look. I want to say it doesn't look like spider webs, guys. What it looks like is ripples of water, which is freaking amazing. This is so amazing. I have gotten into the habit of turning it on right before I go into ritual. I'm like, I turn it on, I light my candles. It adds an extra layer of ambiance and just helps flip that switch of like trying to get your mind into that ritual state kind of thing. And I'm like, unbeknownst to me that it was gonna do that, because I was just like doing it for shits and grins, and then I was like, well, now I'm surprised. It kind of, the one word that I would say, it's hard to find the word for it. It kind of has like a cocooning type of feeling when you turn it on and your whole room is just covered with these ripples of water on the wall. And I'm like, it's not flashing, it's not dancing around like a rave party or anything like that. It's just flowy and pretty and calming. And I'm like, it almost feels like when you're going, if you cast a circle or if you throw up an energetic shield, you're visualizing that in your mind when you're doing that. But this, it's like you look up and you see it. It's a trip. It's like you see it and you feel like you're in that energetic bubble, that shield, and nothing can touch you. And I'm like, I don't know why, but this was an interesting investment, I will tell you that. So you're just gonna have to go and get yourself one so you can try it and tell me what you think too. So I'm like, I was really surprised, and I am glad, actually quite happy as a clam, to be adding this to my practice. I was really, really surprised, you guys. A couple more things to share with you. Back in April, I took my daughter to our county fair, and she did one of those games where you throw the balls in a fish bowl and you win the fish. She did it and she won 2 fish, and they're just little goldfish, like feeder type fish, you know, the type of fish that you buy to feed other animals, you know, like snakes and bigger fish, etc. I'm like, I think they cost a whole 29 cents or something, but I'm like, they're still alive. I thought for sure I was gonna end up killing them, but they're still kicking. And originally I had bought like a little $20 aquarium thing at like PetSmart, and for some reason the pump stopped working. So I went in and found a little bit bigger aquarium. I think it's like a 5-gallon. It was on sale, and when we were in there, I didn't intend to add more things to the mix, but somehow that's what happened. So I'm like, 3 neons later and 3 ghost shrimp later and a new aquarium, I have this whole new setup for her that is in her room. However, I kind of feel like I'm enjoying it more than she is, and it definitely has to go into the monthly favorites list, because it has a very like calming effect. And sometimes I catch myself, you know, like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and check on the fish and see how they're doing, and I will just sit there and watch them, and it's just pure magic, really. And I'm like, when you're a desert dweller, your appreciation for water is kind of like on an entirely different level. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying this aquarium, so much so that I have debated about going back to PetSmart and buying an aquarium for my room. And I'm just like, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to add that extra layer of responsibility on there? But I'm kind of like, I think all I would put in there are some of those little ghost shrimp and maybe just a couple of neons too, you know? I'm like, they're easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a pro hobbyist with aquariums or anything like that, because I'm not at all. But I have to admit, I really love this little aquarium that she has, and it really is just pure magic to have, you know, like living things in your home, and to have that element of water in the home as well. I just, damn, that is the best like $32 I spent in a long time. Alright, so in closing, I would like to share a couple of things here. I haven't been reading that many books. I don't know what's going on right now. Right now, I am just kind of like with books. I think maybe it's because A lot of the witchy books that I have right now are all kind of starting to sound the same. But I do have an Amazon wish list that is growing with a bunch of books about runes, because you know I got some of those and I want to learn how to use them. So right now I've really taken a step back from reading as much as what I was. I just don't have the time. Everything's been kind of hectic the last couple of months. And I think I will explain a little bit about what was kind of going on behind the scenes there, because I went MIA for about a good month and a half or something like that, and I feel like I might want to share what I went through with you guys. I have not come to 100% conclusion on that one. I'm still kicking that idea around. But anyways, in closing, instead of books, I'm going to bring you a couple of Netflix recommendations. It's been a long time since I've talked about Netflix. So I'm like, I have them written down here in my journal. Two movies. So I have to admit, I have fallen into the black hole of nature documentaries. I used to love these so much. It was like me and my dad would always watch them, and it would drive my brother insane because he used to think they were so boring. And I'm like, me and my dad just love to sit down and watch nature movies and the documentaries and stuff like that. And I'm like, I have to admit, it's been a long time since I've sat there and like really like dove into that area. And I found that Netflix has a pretty good selection on there, to my surprise. And I started watching them, you know, the typical like Blue Planet and all those other different versions of nature documentaries. You know, they all have that one guy that has that voice. I think it's like David Attenborough or something like that, and he has this voice that is like so calming. And I'm like, you know how you always hear people say that when they want to unwind or relax, they will turn on the Food Network and just watch like cooking shows? For me, it's nature documentaries. I'm like, when I come home after work or something like that and I just need the household to kind of like wind down, I will turn on nature shows. And sometimes with a 5-year-old, it's a little difficult because there's times where I'm like, oh, whoa, something, you know, that killer whale is going to fling around that seal like a rag doll. I'm like, pause, you know, because I'm just, something she doesn't need to see yet, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so that leads me into mentioning one of my monthly favorites, and that is the documentary called, let me make sure I get it right, it's called Hidden Kingdom. Now the only bad thing is that there's only 3 episodes, but those 3 episodes are so good. They are, I want to say they're very kid friendly, you know what I mean? Like there's no mega violence or anything like that. If there is like maybe 1 or 2 parts where semi-violent things happen. They have a way of filming that it kind of alludes to it, so it doesn't quite share everything. And I'm like, I really like that. The thing about Hidden Kingdom, their thing is that they focus from the little guy's point of view. So instead of being the herd of elephants and the lions, no, you're with a little mouse on the African, no, it's a shrew. That's the first episode, is a little African shrew that runs trails. I think it's called a singi, something like that. And I'm like, you're watching this documentary from her point of view, her POV. So I'm like, you're this little shrew running through Africa looking up at this giant elephant or that huge monitor lizard that's chasing you. I'm like, it's a really cool series, and I hope that they will come out with some more, because like I said, there's only 3. So one of the other ones, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is a movie that I found in the kids section, and it's called The Song of the Sea. Song of the Sea. And I'm like, this one, girl, don't watch it unless you are ready to cry, because it's kind of sad. That's gonna be the warning right up front. It is sad. I cried like a baby on this one. I don't know why, it just got to me. But it dips its toes into, it is an animated feature, and it tells the myths and mythos behind kelpies, kind of thing. It just kind of like touches base on it. It doesn't go in really deep or anything like that. I mean, it is a cartoon for kids, okay? So they keep it really light, but it's not too light because you will cry. I don't think, there were a few times I think my daughter kind of lost the attention span or whatever, so I was watching it more than her, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this cartoon is just so pretty. There's a few things in there that are just like, wow, the animation gets really cool. The owl lady, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let it hang just like that. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, you gotta have to go watch it yourself, okay? So yeah, guys, that's it for my monthly favorites. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.